I think I'm recording. Why is... there I am. That's why. It doesn't really matter. All right, so when we look at paper, your prompt, you can choose to keep writing the essay that you wrote, or you can choose one of the other prompts. If you didn't like the way your essay went, or you're a little confused on the ideas, choose one of the other prompts. Not a big deal. You can continue writing your prompt that you worked on. This one, the essay about love. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prompts. Now for your extended paper, beginning to end, some of you you jumped, right? I said some of my notes were you jumped too quickly to love is malleable. This is illustrated by the potion. Okay, but you have to establish early on with the Athenian youths and their idea of love before the potion breaks it. You can't just write about one thing, because you have the Athenian youths, you have the potion, you have the old people. Who wrote old? The old people. Somebody wrote about the young and the old. I was like, ooh. Most of the audience 400 years ago would know the story of Theseus and Hippolyta, and the Athenians defeated in battle the Amazons, and they were not happy about it. So this is not, she's angry at the beginning, not because she doesn't love or something, no, because she just lost a war. And the price of that war is, I've got to marry the guy that just defeated my country. So there's that. So that's these things here. We'll go over the expectations. So, don't worry, don't put anything here. I'll post that when I'm grading. So, final paper. What did I have here? For MLA formatting. We'll probably do MLA formatting tomorrow, just so everybody's here. Right? 10 points. Thesis focusing. You have your thesis. Copy and paste your thesis if you're going to continue on with your paper. Copy and paste, write out your thesis. Copy and paste it. For something like this, you should have a 2-sentence thesis, at the very least. That leaves you a lot of what I call analytical writing space. Right? Textual evidence, so copy and paste some. You might, whatever's here in this, a little jumpy, hopefully it comes out. Right, so for this here, copy and paste some evidence. You might use it, you might not. We'll talk about evidence in MLA tomorrow, right? Your thesis will change over time. You're not going to just stick to one thesis. The more you read, the more you write, the more you explore, the more you're going to have to go back in and change your thesis. So tomorrow, sometime, 2, you're going to your thesis is going to change. You might reread the play. You might read an essay. You might read an academic essay that kind of aligns with what you're asserting, and then say, oh, I didn't really look at what Puck says about love. I only looked at what Hippolyta says about it. And then you'll dive in and it'll change your thesis. It always will. So I want to see 3 by, let's say, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. By Friday, you should have changed at least 2, if not 3 times your thesis. Right? No matter what it is, write out your final thesis here. Right? This is a focusing exercise. Next piece. Some of you have already looked at how to write about Shakespeare. This is Harvard. I think I pulled this from. Quote how to quote Shakespeare in your essay. That's fine. The general rule for MLA, general rule, whether it's Shakespeare or poetry, one line. It just works into the sentence. 3 or more, you have to tab block it. We went over tab blocking the last extended paper. No, we did a midterm. I'll go over tab blocking tomorrow. Right? This here. This is tab blocking. This here, where everything is moved in, so it kind of stands out. So 3 or more lines. We'll go over the how to do that later. SFU. So they're I forget. Thought I had one from Harvard. Is that this one? This is Harvard. This is a good article here. There's aphorisms on writing about Shakespeare. Take a moment or two. Take a moment just to read this. It's not a gigantic and long article, but it'll give you some idea about what you should be doing. AP Lang, final paper notes. This one, hello. This is the 25-point piece. Right, this is a 25-point piece. This is your free 25 points. Right, we're going to be going over sources today. So you're going to be looking for you're going to be looking for 2 articles to use. I'm only requiring minimum one for the paper. 2 would be okay. Anything more than that for the length of paper we're writing is too much. You finish these. Finish these, get your free 25 points. This is a project. This one.
I made a complete assumption, Mr. Donahue, you knew they were with me.
Yeah, no, they told me. Your final draft goes in here, right? This is the general MLA format for anything. Your name, class name, AP Lang, teacher, professor, me, right? So next year, 2 years from now, you're writing the professor. Date you handed in. If you're handing it in Monday morning, it's Monday's date. If you're handing it in Sunday, Sunday's date. If you think you're done Friday and you're handing it in Friday, Friday's date. And give it an original title. Right? Midsummer Night's Dream is already taken. So you can't call your paper Midsummer Night's Dream. Give it a title of your own. Usually it's a play on words. You'll see what I mean with that. But for all of your... Oh, I'm recording it. So anybody who came in from your meeting with Mr. Burns, I'm recording it and I'll post it. Right, the essay that you wrote, you're continuing. Or if you liked one of the other prompts and you want to try that out, go ahead. That's the general, that's all of these. Make sure you get how to write this one. Final paper notes. I have to put a due date on that. No due date. This is going to be due Friday.
How do we find the
sources? Sources. Come on, Tab. Okay. Because the site, the Gale pieces that I usually use for this, the school. I'm one of the only teachers that use this. So they're not, the school isn't going to pay thousands of dollars just for me to teach you how to do this. So I looked, I used Google Scholar, but a lot of what I ran into in Google Scholar is my problem with using Google to begin with. You have to vet your sources, right? You have some sources in Google Scholar that we can't verify sources for. We can't verify where they came from. So they're not really usable, or they are, but it would take you days to do that, and it's a waste of time. So one of the, who keeps turning stuff in over here? Okay. What you're going to search for, one of the sites that I found in Google Scholar is usable, and it works a lot like Gale. Not quite. The thing I did like about Gale with the subscription is you could click on, you could like automatically add your articles to Drive, and then you wouldn't have to go back in. But you're going to use something called JSTOR, JSTOR. This is kind of like Project Gutenberg. Everybody know Project Gutenberg? But do you know Project Gutenberg online? God bless you. It has, God bless you, I believe it has, it's a project that they're trying to put every public domain piece of writing available on there. Their science fiction bookshelf is amazing, if you're a sci-fi fan, by the way. But JSTOR is kind of like that, but for academic articles. So we're going to use JSTOR, JSTOR Home. You get to create a free account. Problem with the free account is you only get 100 articles a month. So no need to pay. So you go to JSTOR Home. It'll be something like this, right? Everybody should go there. I'm going to log in. I did this with the seniors. I think I continue with Google. That's usually the easy way. Continue. Come on. Right, there I go. It does have, once you create a free account, you can put the articles that you're going to choose into a file and log in, and they're there. So it's not. So if I look at my workspace? So if I look at my workspace on this, right? Everybody's there. You're following. You're at JSTOR. You're in there now. You're creating an account now. Now, I want you to create the account, whatever, yes, I'd like to create a free account, buttons you have to click them. I'm only taking sources from this site. If you have something from something else, something from somewhere else, you're going to lose the source points. Can only take from here, right? This is a source, and you'll see it's good. So here, good. So my workspace, here's stuff I did with the seniors and Dubliners for their final paper. It has my 7 articles that I've saved. All right, so we're going to go to by subject. That's just my workspace. I just wanted to make sure. So, browse by subject. You're going to all content, search journals, books, images, and primary sources. you're going to search for a Midsummer Night's Dream. That's what you're going to start with, right? You're going to, and you'll see that's probably not the best way, because you are going to have 16,070 results. Far too wide to be usable.
Well, it depends on the theme that we choose for the...
Oh man, I lost my acorn. I'm annoyed. All right, so how are we going to narrow? 16,000 is way, way, way too much for anyone to look through. Okay, so Midsummer Night's Dream, comma, love. Let's see what happens if we narrow it there.
Narrowed it by 6,000.
So we got rid of 10,000 articles.
No, got rid of 6,000.
Oh, okay, it only got rid of 6,000 articles. So now is when you look at your paper and you look at your thesis. Right? You want to find writers. These are academic writers. These are professors, right? These are people who, here's Shakespeare Quarterly. Shakespeare Quarterly, it's a magazine, comes out 4 times a year, quarterly. They hire, Oxford professors. They hire professors and actors and directors to write articles about Shakespeare's plays. And then they put them together, and then you go to I used to love to go to, this is like the stacks now, you go to the stacks in the college library, and there'd be like a whole wall of Shakespeare quarterlies. I think they still might have some in the, maybe not. Anyway, now you have, it's kind of narrowed down. So let's say love, comma, give me another word to narrow. Help narrow this search. Get it down from 10,000 articles. Look at your thesis. Don't look at me. Look at your thesis. How are you going to use your thesis to help narrow your search? Complexion? Love, romance. What was your thesis? Think about your thesis and how you developed your thesis.
The love potion.
Autonomy. So, love. Autonomy. Okay. Let's see how. Depends on what prompt you chose. 804. Lot more manageable. A lot more manageable than 16,000. So, Midsummer Night's Dream, love, autonomy. So you're going to use your thesis to narrow down your search. And this is going to be the problem with any database and articles about Shakespeare. Shakespeare is like the most written about writer. Shakespeare in old libraries, when you had card catalogs, Shakespeare had his own, and it still does, but digitally, his own library number because of all the books written about the plays. So that's one of the things one of the problems you are going to run into no matter what database. So we're going to stick with JSTOR. Reading, exchanging visions, journal article, biography, okay. You don't know if we're, right? So now you're going to look. Bibliography? No. Bibliography is, there's a note somewhere in a bibliography that mentions this. So you're not going to use that. Moral conceptions of sexual love in Elizabethan comedy? Maybe. The spirit of love and sexuality in Renaissance, that Cornell. general, individual, playing no part but Pyramus, Bonham, celebrity, and early modern clown. Maybe, if you liked that. Fancy's Image, reinventing Shakespeare in Christine Ezard's children's Midsummer Night's Dream. No. The Missing Child. Who is the Indian in Shakespeare? Ooh, that one sounds interesting to me. All right, so let's look at this one here. Shaping fantasies, figurations of gender and power in Elizabethan culture. Right, so we'll see what this has to offer. Okay, that's your preview. Now's when you're going to go follow along, right? You're following along, click on one, read online. This is where it's not going to ask me, so I can't show you because I've done this already. When it says read online, that's where it's going to ask you to, do you want to create a free account and have only 100 articles? Yes. Yes. Right? You're there? You've created the account? Good. All right, so this is 34 pages. Don't worry so much about, oh my God, this is 34 pages. Am I going to have to read this whole thing? Probably not. You're probably going to get through the first 2 to 5 paragraphs and know if you're going to be able to use it or not. Right? So think 2 to 5 paragraphs. And even then, you don't necessarily need to read the whole 34 pages. You might get to the 5th or 6th paragraph and have ideas that this author, Louis Adrian Montrose, writes about that kind of parallels or kind of echoes what you've already written in your essay yesterday. That's when you bookmark this, and you can copy and paste from here, I've discovered, but it's not necessarily formatted properly. So you might need to copy and paste it into an empty doc and then format it properly and then copy and paste it again. That's entirely up to you in your digital realm. Right, so Shakespeare's Duke Theseus formulates policy when he proclaims that the lunatic, the lover, and the poet are of imagination all compact. That lovers and madmen have such seething... Right, okay. I like the opening, so I would continue reading. I'm going to save this. I'm going to click save. It'll ask me where it wants me to save to. I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call it Midsummer. Create and save. Now I don't have to look for it again.
And we just do this for 2 articles?
Find 2 articles. I suggest while you're doing your search, bookmark 3 or 4. Because you might read the first paragraph of one and say, that's like what I wrote about. You might get to the 3rd paragraph, and don't worry, you might get to the 3rd paragraph and have no idea what they're talking about. They might be using academic language that is way over your head. Don't worry about it. Move on. Right? You're juniors in high school. You're not professional academia writing about Shakespeare for other professional academics. So if it's way, way out of your understanding, move on to the next one. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about, oh my God, I don't understand this. What am I going to do? Move on. Find another one. Read the first paragraph. Kind of aligns with what you're thinking. Save it. Read it later. Again, you're probably not going to have to read all 34 pages, and it's probably 4 pages of footnotes if I scrolled all the way to the bottom. So you're not going to have to read all 30 pages of it. But you probably have to read 2 in order to find something that what you're looking for these 2 is you're looking for an academic expert that backs up what you say, that backs up what you think, that you can quote, and we'll work on the quoting and stuff tomorrow, right? That backs up what you say. So in his essay, Montrose, in his essay, Shaping Fantasies, yada, 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 Montrose asserts that, your idea, academic expert's idea that parallels your idea, analyze, evidence, reanalyze. That's really the order that you're working in. All right, it was saved. All right, let's go back to 99. I only have 99 free articles left this month. Oh no. All right. All right, just for giggles, Shakespeare. Let's see how many. If you just search for academic articles about Shakespeare, 216,549. So let's say Shakespeare, comma, love, comma, somebody else give me something other than, too specific, love potion, because then you might come up with
Death.
Love, wait, what was one of the others? Death?
Death.
But nobody dies. Love at first sight. Now you're going to have some Romeo and Juliet articles in here too. So right, this is all about how to search. Right, so today's lesson. So now we're down to 33,000. A lot better than 215,000. Love at first sight, comma, Midsummer Night's Dream. Let's see if it narrows more. $2,000.
Boom. That's like easy then.
Yeah, 2,759. Obscured by Dreams, Race. Now I'm going to click on that because Shakespeare and race interest me as a modern Shakespeare reader. Shakespeare and race interest me endlessly. I'm going to click on it because it interests me. You're going to find something for yourself. Why a Midsummer Night's Dream, journal article, journal article, journal article. So this was a good search. You're getting a lot of journal articles. Shakespeare Quarterly, most from Shakespeare Quarterly. This one, the ass motif in the Comedy of Errors and A Midsummer Night's Dream, is that I've seen in Gale. The one that the library used to pay for. So I know that in my drive, if I go into my drive, this essay is probably there from like 2 years ago. So that's fine. Fairy Orientalism, maybe. Plato and Shakespeare. Individuation. Nice, I might be. So anyway, I'm going to click on this one because it, like I say, race and Shakespeare interests me. The modern reader, and a lot of you quoted why, who is it, Demetrius says, why would I trade a raven with a dove. You know, this whole idea of black is ugly, white is beauty. You know, so journal information, publisher information. Yeah, but for a modern audience, and it's mentioned here too, Ethiop is mentioned in here. Romeo and Juliet, when he compares Juliet's beauty to a jewel in an Ethiop's ear, why would beautiful black women not be insulted by that in 2024? You know, 400 years ago, blackness and whiteness weren't quite race identities yet. It was starting to be. So it wasn't necessarily race identity, but that doesn't mean that conversation shouldn't happen in 2024. So anyway, this would be an article I'd be interested in. So I'm going to be all the way down to 98 free articles this month. And I'm going to put that in. So that's how to narrow your search. Read the first couple of paragraphs. Come on, open up. This one here is 24 pages. Margot Hendricks, in 1991, I was entangled in textual advisor. I'm going to move me. Hold on. Move me. The Indian, now here again, race. Not only that, but the Indian boy. 2024, does that play? But for 400 years ago, for the general audience, that would be exotic, unknown land. Not that excuses, for a modern audience, this use of, oh, yes, we kidnapped a little Indian boy. We want him as our servant. This is the era where there's slavery rampant on the American continent. Have they enslaved someone? These are all things that you'll probably find essays on if you really wanted to.
It was viewed a lot differently back then.
No, don't be so sure that slavery was viewed differently. In England, slave trade was seen as dirty, always. 400 years ago, late 15, early 1600s. Death of Queen Elizabeth I, coronation of James, her nephew James. Yeah, I'm just reading to myself. The part of the Indian boy played by an inscription. All right, 5 minutes left. Questions on source search. Right, so, John.
Where we're sourcing these documents, like, can we implement them into our essay?
Just the search. I'm going to work on that tomorrow. Right? How to work them into your essay. We're going to work on tomorrow. Today, I want you searching. Right? You've written an essay. You've written a 3-4 paragraph essay, or you've written a paltry, or if you got anywhere near 7, that 7th paragraph is probably pretty thin because you were pushing and you were running out of ideas. That's why you're looking at academic articles, for more ideas to latch onto.
And this one will be like 12 or so?
I wrote it. Where did I write it? 7 to 10, 7 to 12, what is it?
7 to 10 paragraphs.
right? Put it here, I think.
Yeah, it's on the
No. It's on final draft.
final draft.
Right? Clear thesis, strong textual evidence. That means both from the play and an academic article. 1 to 2 academic articles, 7 to 10 paragraphs in length. No more than 2. 2 is actually for something that's 7 to 10 paragraphs, pushing it. Because if you do more than that, your paper starts to sound like the articles, and you don't want that. You want your paper to sound like you with the articles, with the professors backing your ideas up. That's the point of doing a paper like this. You have good ideas, and you didn't invent them, but you're not stealing them either, and you're going to use an academic paper to back up your own academic ideas. It's done, this is what's done at the college level in academia. Other questions about searching. So, what you're doing tonight, sometime, just kind of scroll around, save a few articles for yourself. Think about, before you do your search, start with your thesis. Copy and paste your thesis into the thesis focus. Try and change your thesis. Maybe you want to refocus your thesis now that you've written it once. Once you've refocused your thesis, then go to JSTOR and do some searches. Look for journal articles. When they come up, if they come up as bibliographies or book reviews or something like that, move on. Look for journal articles. Did I save this one? I want to save this because... Oh, no, that's not it. Read this article if you like. Some of you already have the aphorisms about writing about Shakespeare from... God bless you. God bless you. I'll YouTube this. Hopefully before the end of the day I'll be able to do that. I'm going to save this just to show you once again. Save it. I'm going to find my folder in my workspace. I'm just going to save it. I don't know where it went. All right. In that case, I'm going to stop and I'll post it before the day ends.